Many organizations are moving from on-premise email infrastructure to cloud-hosted infrastructure, and many organizations today use Microsoft 365. And with Microsoft 365, you typically get access to emails. Now, in a time before hybrid and remote working, we had email infrastructure on-premise, and we had solutions that would help to protect those email infrastructures and the emails themselves. But as time's gone on, we have seen a dramatic shift to hybrid and remote working, and organizations are now looking at using cloud providers to handle things such as emails. So this is where Hornetsecurity comes in. When we look at solutions like Microsoft 365 and how to protect emails from cloud-hosted Outlook, Hornetsecurity has a number of solutions that can help to protect against malicious behavior. It's a leading cloud email security provider, and there's a number of solutions that focus on protecting Microsoft 365 as well as data loss prevention and advanced threat protection, just to name a few. Today we're going to look at one of their services, which is, if we take a look at this list here, we can see the number of services that they've got. We're going to look at 365 Total Protection. You can see, if we look at the packages, we can see that there's a number of features that we get here, and we start off with 365 Total Protection for business, 365 Total Protection for enterprise, and then you've got 365 Total Protection Enterprise Backup. And you can see the number of features that we get here. So there's quite a lot that you get when you actually start to look at it, and especially for the price. When you consider the price here, this is per user. So you can see for 365 Total Protection Business, it's £1.75 per Microsoft 365 user per month. So it's a similar model to the way that Microsoft does its pricing on a per user basis, and many other organizations in a matter of fact. So we're going to start to look at this and just see some of the great features that we can actually get with Hornetsecurity 365 Total Protection Enterprise. So when we look at this here, we are looking at the middle tier, so £3.50 per Microsoft 365 user per month. And we can see that we get a number of features, so email tracking to content control, spam and malware protection. You pretty much get everything, aside from, I guess, the backup features that come with the top tier, if you like. So after you've entered your name, email and telephone number, you will be brought to a page like this. Now you'll be asked to enter your company name, your email address, which should already be populated along with your name and telephone number. So I'm just going to select Start Now. And now we're going to log in to Microsoft, and then this is the permissions page that we are speaking about here. So we can see the Audit Security Integration Connector. This application is not published by Microsoft or your organization, and it's basically telling us that this application would like to sign in and read user profiles and read directory data as well. So we'll just go ahead and accept that. And then we're brought back to Hornetsecurity, and we can see that it's initializing synchronization here. Once that's been synchronized, you will receive a message like the one that you can see now, basically thanking you for being able to trust Hornetsecurity with the integration. And then it basically says your domains, users and groups are being synchronized. You will then be redirected to the control panel, which it looks like we're being directed to now. Okay, so this is the start of the demo. So we can see the first step here is to specify our time zone and language. So for me, time zone is going to be Europe, London, and our language is going to stay as English, and date format we will keep as the one that we use in the UK, as well as the time format. So once you are happy with those settings, go ahead and confirm. And as you can see here now, we're now at the dashboard here. So just on the face of it, we'll delve into some more details around this in this demo, but you can see here it's a rather clean dashboard, and we can see on the left hand panel we have email live tracking, reporting and compliance, deny and allow lists, and the option to log out. And then in the main section here, it looks like we have information related to which tab we are currently on, as you can see there. So we're going to get into testing some of the features that we get with the 365 total protection from Hornetsecurity now, just to see how good and useful these features are and how they can help protect your Microsoft 365 environment. So just before we get into looking at some of the features on offer here with Hornetsecurity, you will receive an email that will ask you to change your MX records to point to Hornetsecurity, as well as adding a CNAME if you want to make use of the auto discover feature, which allows your email clients to configure your email address. It's worth pointing out that the trial is 14 days, and that 14 days will start with the migration of your first domain. That is also highlighted in the email that you will receive from Hornetsecurity as well. So do make sure when you do start the trial, you are prepared to get everything set up and test within the 14 days. If you've got any issues, then reach out to support@hornetsecurity.com. Alright, so this is my first time demoing Hornetsecurity, so this is a good test to see how simple it is to use and navigate around. So I've changed my MX records now in my DNS settings for my domain, and I have sent a test email just to make sure that the emails are still being sent and received. Now we will take a look at some of the settings and features right out of the box with Hornetsecurity now that we've done that integration. We have a few cogs here on the right hand side, and these are settings, as you can see. So pretty much settings as we go through when we first set this up. You then have some API token options to grant access to applications. Out of office note you can activate, and then we've got filters and reports as well. So we can set info mail, which looks like it's active and we can't turn that off. We've got quarantine report, so we can set delivery times and we can select days, hours, and all that great stuff there. On the information button, we just get the control panel version, and when you click that, it pops up there on the bottom there. And then on the very right hand side, we can see that we've got user tools, which is the email live tracking, which takes you essentially to the dashboard that we first started on. So we've already had a quick look really at the tabs on the left hand side. So we've got the live tracking where we can see and filter direction of emails, incoming, outgoing, or both. We can see whether there is any type of encryption on those emails. We can see whether the encryption for incoming emails is set or not based on the filters that we select. We can see delivery status, and we can see size as well. So there's a wealth of information and filtering we can do with the email live tracking. Across the top here we have filters where we can specify whether emails are clean, info mail, spam, content, threat, advanced threat, or rejected as well, which is great. And then we have under reporting and compliance, we have email statistics, and nothing showing as yet, and we'll see why that is in a minute. And then you've got Auditing 2.0, which basically I assume will just output all the logs of everything that is going on to do with Hornetsecurity and the dashboard as well. And there's a little button here where we can actually read more about this module to see what's going on there. Under deny and allow lists, it looks like we can add entries to an allow list and also to a deny list, and we can also import a CSV file. So this is great if you already have whitelists and blacklists for emails and domains. And you can see here we can add, if we were to add a static entry, we can actually add an email address or a domain or even an IP address and give that a description as well. So again, with this module, we can read more about the module here, and I assume that's going to give us more information around the module itself and how we can actually make sure we import the correct CSV format as well. I assume as well what you could do is add a static entry and then export that as a CSV, update that CSV maybe with your existing whitelists and blacklists, and then upload that to the relevant section here. So very straightforward modules by the looks of it, and easy to work with. Now, if we go back to email live tracking, we're not seeing anything at the moment. However, I did say I sent an email back and forth between an email that's now protected under Hornetsecurity. So theoretically, I would expect to see something under email live tracking. So if we select this little part here, so scope selection, it looks like here we can actually specify, by default, nothing selected. So what we can do is we can actually specify the full domain, or we can actually look at individual users as well. So if I just specify the full domain, you can see now that I get some information with regards to that test email that I sent as well, which is great. And you can also see we get more options down the left hand side as well, so we'll take a look at some more of these in a moment. But just on the face of it, if we look at the email live tracking, we didn't modify any of the filtering that's going on. We left everything as default. We do have the option to export this if we wanted to take a look at things in further details, or put that into some sort of report, which is great. And you can see that Hornetsecurity out of the box is working, because what it's done now is it's actually showing that we have a 100% clean email here as well. And what I'll do, in fact, I will see if I can get a malware sample, and we can see whether that detects some sort of threat as well, or whether it rejects it. But for this particular email that I sent as a test, we can see that the date and time of the email, we can see the communication partner. So this is me sending an email back to the original email that was sent out from the domain that's protected under Hornetsecurity. So we can see that this is the direction of the mail, so it's incoming towards that domain that's protected by Hornetsecurity. And then we can see that the subject is test. We can also see that encryption wise TLS is in use, and we can also see that the status is marked as delivered along with the size as well. We've also got a little button here on the right hand side, so let's take a look at what that is. So if we just click on that, we have some options right out of the box just to add the sender to the deny list or the allow list, or we can assume there's other options here. So we can see advanced threat protection is deactivated, or the email does not have any attachment. So I'm assuming because we're running the trial, it's purely at the moment because there's no attachment there to scan. So we'll see later on when we add an attachment if there's any changes there as well. There's the option to delete the email, but it's grayed out and it says you first have to activate Xposed Deletion in the advanced threat protection module under security settings. So that's the security settings here that popped up as an additional module when we clicked on to specify our scope. So we'll take a look at some of those features in a little while. If we believe that this email was spam, we can report it as spam. Simple click of a button there by the looks of it. And similarly, we can also report it as info mail if we believe it's info mail. We have an option here to deliver the mail, the email. I'm assuming because that's already marked as delivered, we don't need to do that. But I'm assuming if there's some sort of holding or quarantine, emails will be held, and then you can automatically approve to send those emails. And then lastly, if we click on info, we get the information around the details of the information. We get the details around the email that's sent. We can see the reputation of the sender, which is quite cool. We can see the domain owner, and we can see some other more bits and pieces here as well. If we look at the header, we also get information on the header, which is really good if you want to delve into these bits and pieces. So you can see quite a lot of information there actually. And then lastly, we got the SMTP information as well. So let's just go now down the left hand side now again, because we, as we saw when we selected our scope, we have some more modules that popped up. So we've done with looking at email live tracking now. Pretty cool, and we can see as emails come in. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at the service dashboard, and what we get here. Again, usual, we can have receive more information about the module itself and what it does. We can see from an administration standpoint, the administrator, which is myself. LDEP connection, we don't have any information there, so we're not going to focus on that. And you've got the default time zone settings and stuff that we specified earlier on when we first accessed the dashboard. Now if we go to 365 total protection, which is what we're looking at demonstrating, we can see here now that we have connected our Microsoft 365 domain. We have 20 mailboxes, 20 licenses, and 3 domains. It says during a trial period, this number corresponds to the latest synchronized license count in Microsoft 365. So we can see that DNS has been configured, and we can actually show these configurations from here, which is quite cool. We have an option here to configure outbound email traffic. So we can configure automatically. So let's have a look at that. Let's just configure this automatically now. And again, there's some permissions that we need to allow here in order to do this. So let's just accept that. And we get back to that synchronization phase as well. So once that's done, it then says that it's connecting to Microsoft 365 and that this process may take up to 10 minutes. So we'll just be patient with that and continue through looking at the new tabs that we've got. We can see on the 365 Total Protection that we have an Outlook add-in tab that we can add. And we can see here that if we install this, the user can execute several control panel functions directly from their Outlook applications. Okay, so we go through that again. So it looks like it's automatically going to add that as an add-in to our Outlook. So again, we can take a look at that as well. Once that's active, we can see there that it's not yet active, it's in orange. However, we can see that our Microsoft 365 is now connected, and we can see now that we will immediately be informed when any threat is detected. We can now see that the Outlook add-in has also been installed successfully, so it's now available in our tenant. However, it does say that it can take up to 12 hours until it's automatically installed in your user's Outlook clients. So what we'll do is we'll quickly log into a client and we'll see whether that's already available or whether we need to wait a little bit longer for that to take effect. Before we do that, we can see our contract status at the bottom here. We can see that a test is active for our 365 Total Protection, and we can see when our trial actually ends. And you do have an option if you are happy with using 365 Total Protection. And we do have an option if you are looking to proceed with actually purchasing Hornetsecurity 365 Total Protection to purchase now below there as well. So just quickly pulling up my Outlook application with my logged in protected user. Now that we've enabled that add-on, it doesn't look like it's yet added there. As you can see, there's no additional tabs there for Hornetsecurity at the moment. So what we'll do is we'll allow that a little time to synchronize in the background, and we'll maybe try that again just before we finish the demonstration. So we've looked at the 365 Total Protection bits and pieces that you get by clicking on the left hand side of the tab there. We've already seen reporting in compliance, but let's just have a look at email statistics, and we can also see that we've got a new threat live report there as well. So we'll have a look at email statistics first, and it looks like we get a nice little dashboard with regards to the emails that have kind of come in and gone out as well, and the emails by type. So i.e., are those emails clean? Are the threats contained within those emails? Are those emails spam? So we get some nice information here as well. And again, you can export as a CSV. I don't know whether you can download a report. That would be cool if you could do so as well. Maybe that's in a different section. But that'd be nice if you could actually download this data as a nice report to present back to you know, your teams or management if required as well. So I don't know if that's a feature in here. As I say, this is the first time I am looking at this as well and going through this demonstration for you guys. However, Hornetsecurity, if that is the case, if there is an option to do that and we don't find it in this demonstration, please do let us know. So let's now click onto live report. So it looks like this gives us Again, there's more information here. This live attack overview shows all attacks prevented by us worldwide in this moment with their source and destination. So you've kind of got a time frame here. So we've got today specified. We can see that we've got a global view, which is going to show global threats. And it says here, with the global switch, you can select the data to be displayed in the live attack overview, as well as the diagrams and statistics under attempted attacks and threat statistics. If the switch is activated, you can see attacks and threats which occurred to all customers in a selected period. If it's deactivated, you can only see attacks and threats for customers selected in the scope selection. So the scope selection is going to be this selection here. So we can see that there's some information loading here. We can see some quite cool information actually off the face of it. So we can see attempted attacks and the type of attacks by the looks of it. So keylogger, spyware, all nicely color coded. And if we look at the threat statistics below as well, we can see that crypto mining is quite high with 29%, followed by Trojans and keyloggers. And then we've got the attack vectors. So it looks like as suspected, and as reports consistently show, 96% of those attacks are coming through via phishing attempts as well, at least by the customers that are protected by Hornetsecurity as well. We can see the attack by day. Obviously, we've only got the attack time frame of today specified, so we can see time frame here up until now. So that's pretty cool as well. We can see phishing's quite high at around 11 AM today. And then we can also see some more information around URL rewriting statistics as well. And then we've got a breakdown as to whether that's desktop based, smartphone or tablet, and then clicks by operating system. And by far you can see that Windows remains the dominant one with 86.5% at the moment. So this is really cool information, broke down in nice pretty colors. I always like looking at nice pretty colors. And this part here is still loading, so maybe let me just go off that and maybe come back onto it, or maybe even refresh. Let's try refresh this. That still seems to be loading. So let's just maybe try and change the date to yesterday. Let's just do the last 2 days, or 2 days ago. And looks like we're getting more information here. So wow, this is pretty cool. So it looks like we get a nice pretty live feed of sort of the attacks, and it's got the information and color schemes to match here to tell you the type it is as well. So we've got the attack source, attack destination. So really cool information actually. That's really nice. I like that. Okay. So now we've looked at threat live report. Let's have a look at customer settings. So we'll have a look at mailboxes. So we can see here right off the bat, these are the mailboxes that are covered under my test environment here as well. So that's useful information if you don't want to log into the Microsoft 365 environment. You also have setting here to reassign mailboxes, and it says that this feature will enable users to access the archive of deleted users. So that's pretty cool. And then we've got, if we go back to mailboxes, we've got a few filtering features we can use here, as well as export and import features, and we can also add forward mailbox as well if we wanted to as well. Groups is not going to give us any information, but it looks like we can basically add groups and assign users to those groups if we wanted to here. Domains is going to give us the domains that we have currently protected with Hornetsecurity. So we've got 3 total domains in my demonstration at the moment. Authentication policies and IPs. So it looks like we can set password policies here and allowed IPs for control panel login. So I'm assuming that this is logging into this control panel here. Deny and allow access lists or allow lists, blacklists and whitelists we've already looked at. So let's have a look at security settings. So this is where we now get to some of the security features that we have with Hornetsecurity's 365 total protection. So we can see we've got on the advanced threat protection section, we have the ability to send real-time alerts, and we've got a default email address already specified in here for my domain. We've got the ability to do URL rewriting, so it replaces all the links in the email with custom links to redirect users through a web filter if that's what you wanted to do. We've got a feature here for targeted fraud forensics, and this is a feature that detects targeted and personalized attacks without malware or links. And then we've got Xposed Deletion here, which is allows a feature that allows you to delete already received emails from your Microsoft 365 mailbox as well. So another cool feature there. Email authentication, we are not going to set any of this up today, but this is similar to other providers as well that kind of offer this email authentication using the using DKIM as well. I have a post on my website around this using Cisco's on-premise email security appliance, or ESA, if you want to take a look at a little bit more of a look at that. Similarly, if you want to read more about this with Hornetsecurity, then you can read more about this particular module by clicking the information button at the top there. The quarantine report is the one that we looked at earlier. Spam and malware protection. So it looks like we have now got spam and malware protection enabled, and let's have a look at some of the other features here. So you've got info mail filter active. So spam handling, we can store this in quarantine, or you can tag it. If you tag it, you can say, let's for instance, we could type spam, and then that would tag that specific email that's been identified as spam. We'll just leave that as default at the minute, store that into quarantine. We've got some other settings here under user rights. So it's going to deliver info mails, it's going to deliver spam mails, it's going to deliver emails with malicious content or attachments, and deliver emails that were filtered out on the basis of content rules. So this option here is going to allow users to perform these specific actions under the email live tracking and from quarantine reports for different categories of emails as well. We have content control. So this is by default is not activated, so we could activate that, and it looks like here we can specify those groups that we looked at a little bit earlier under the customer settings, if you add those groups. And then we've got options for incoming emails and outgoing emails as well. So you can see, we'll leave this deactivated at the moment, but you can see there's a few options here to filter out specific files as well. You can forbid certain file extensions. So there's an example there. If you didn't want JPEGs to be received, then you can filter them. Similarly with outgoing emails, you can also do the same as well. We also have a compliance filter, which is pretty cool. So again, we can activate the compliance filter that's off by default. And we've got here some dictionaries. A dictionary is a list of entries you can reference dictionaries in compliance filter rules with the criteria advanced. This allows you to create more complex rules that consider all entries from the dictionary. You can only edit dictionaries if spam and malware protection has been activated. All right, cool. We also have a signature and disclaimer. So if we activate this, we've got a default group. We've got no disclaimer, no signature. So let's just say we add a disclaimer. And we activate that. We could also preview that, say for, let's look for my user there. And that's just going to show the test disclaimer as well, what it's going to look like as well. Let's just save that and we'll leave that. Oh, we need to give it a name. So now let's save that. That looks like it didn't save, so let's just add this again. Test disclaimer. Disclaimer test. Activate that. Let's save that. There we go. So now we can see that it's been created successfully. All right, cool. And we are, yeah, let's just save that there. All right, cool. So let's go to archiving. So what's this all about? So we can see that we can archive emails, and we can see that the default here is active, and we can see that it's for a period of 10 years for all domains as well. So you can add an exception if you wanted to. There's a few other bits and pieces here with regards to audit and access management. Okay, so just a few additional options here, allowing you to set up audit access for a selected domain if you wanted to do so. We have continuity services, which is default disabled. And it says here, you cannot deactivate this service by yourself. For further assistance, please contact support. Okay, but it lets me activate it. Probably need to look at the documentation in a little bit more detail to understand just exactly what this does. But moving on to the last one really quickly, we also have the ability to set up email encryption and policies for incoming and outgoing emails if we wanted to do so. Moving on to customization, we also have the option to specify support phone numbers, support email addresses, partner information. There's an email template, control panel items that you can modify for Hornetsecurity, I believe. So let's just say, for instance, we change this to test at networkwizkid.com. Is it going to allow us to do this? Let's just say we change that there. Changes have been saved. And there you go. So I've refreshed now. So as you can see, it's allowed us to actually change the dashboard. So if you are, let's say, a managed service provider and offering this solution, you can set up different email support, email addresses and phone numbers as well. Okay, so sticking with this scope, what we're going to do now is we're going to take a look at a couple of the features that we've just been through under security settings, just to see the behavior of Hornet Security in a little bit more detail and see how some of these features actually work. So first of all, I'm just going to send an email back to my other machine. So let's just reply to that now. So with that email now being sent, we can see now the latest one, now that we activated the settings under our 365 protection. We basically connected our Microsoft 365. We now see under the email live tracking that test email that I've just sent out. You can see direction is outgoing, and again you can see all the same bits and pieces for the email as you would see. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get a malware sample, and I'm going to see right out of the box, if I send this to one of the email addresses that are protected by Hornetsecurity, what is going to happen. So I've just sent a test malware sample, but this malware sample I've sent is zipped, so normally you won't really do or be able to do the scanning at that level, so I suspect that this email might get through, but I just wanted to test it anyway. And then what we'll do is we will then test against the actual malware sample itself. That's not going to be in a zip format. So you can see on the latest one here, test sample, we can see that the judgment at the bottom is clean, total 3 emails. And if we actually click on this to see some more information, we now have that option for the to perform that advanced threat protection scan on this. We can also report it as spam if we wanted to, and do all the other bits and pieces. But you can see here that the classification here is clean. So if we just wanted to do a scan on this, we can see that the email has no scannable attachments. But if we actually look at the attachment, we have an attachment here that is a zip file. We can see that it's a zip file here, so it's not scannable at that level. So what I'll do is I will attach the actual sample itself, not in a zip format, and see what the verdict is there. In situations like this, you'd normally have, if they did get through and you didn't have any other sort of scanning mechanisms on that, you know, generally you would expect to have internal systems or protection on the device itself to pick up on threats like this. I did actually test this on one of my other machines, and when I was using Cisco's advanced malware protection, and as soon as I unzipped this file, it literally picked it up and quarantined the file, so I took it straight off of the device itself. So, you know, if you do have device security, endpoint security like that, then you know, it should pick up situations like this. And now by refreshing that, we can see that we've got one more that's come through as well. So this one is a malware sample, and we can see that's been sent from one of my external accounts into one of the emails that is protected. Now if we just click on this, we can see, if we look at the status, it says no status, but we can see now at the bottom it's changed to 20% threat. Now if we look at the information on here, we can see that there's a malicious attachment that's been classified there, and we can see with the classification threat. So if we click on ATP scan, we can see now that that's gone off to do a scan, and we can see as well that that's actually changed to ATP report now. So now if we click on that and then we do a view report, we can see that the analysis is not yet finished, still in progress, and that this will be refreshed every 30 seconds. So we'll come back to that in a moment. But you can see that the attachment that I've sent is a hash as a name, and then we can see it's a doc file, which is actually a virus file. So this new tab's been added now that we have pressed or selected that we wanted to do a ATP scan. So while that's still scanning, we'll take a look at some other features that we could enable in the security settings. So if we go down to security settings and we go to, let's go to content control, and this is not enabled by default, so let's enable that, and we'll leave the group as default because we haven't created any groups, so nothing should come up here. And let's just say, for instance, in our example where we saw that zip file get through which contained the malicious payload, let's just say, for instance, we wanted to not allow zip files. What we could do is we could actually, for incoming mails, we could actually say, okay, zip files are forbidden, and then we would just simply add that file extension zip and add that as it is there. So let's see what else we've got for incoming mails as default. So we could specify the maximum email size if we really wanted to. Default, it looks like it's set at 20 megabytes. Handling of filtered out attachments, so we could cut the attachments and inform the recipients that the attachment has been taken out of that incoming email, or we could choose to store the emails in quarantine before sending that on to the user if we allow that. We'll leave it as default for now. We've got the option here to filter out encrypted attachments, filter out executable attachments, so let's just leave both of them turned on. And then handling of Office documents within with macros, so we can filter out the Excel documents with macros and also with Word, and we could do the same with PowerPoint if we wanted to do so as well. So we'll leave that as it is. We've got the forbidden file type now as zip, so let's just say we're happy with those settings, and we're going to work off that basis. So what we'll do is we'll try to send that same email again with that zip attachment, and let's see this time what happens when we try and do that. And that message has just now been sent to the user that's protected with Hornetsecurity. So let's just give it a few minutes to see whether that comes through and what sort of behavior we should expect in this particular scenario. Okay, so now with the content control in place that we set up, so where we restricted or forbid zip files to be sent, whether that's incoming or outgoing, we just run a test and we can see there that we've got one color coded as rejected, And if we just quickly look at the email itself, you can see here that the email has been replaced, or the attachment has been replaced, and you can see there that content control has removed the following attachment due to policy reasons. To release the blocked attachments, please contact your administrator. So that's the file name, and you can see it's a .zip file that was sent, and you can see that it's been scanned and it's been forbidden with the policy that we set. Now, I'm not too sure whether we can change the output message that's provided here to maybe add a little bit more detail or remove detail or even just correct things, because it looks like here we have no space between content control. However, that's minor. I don't know whether that is something that we can change, so that would be useful to know. But looking back at the attachment, if we look at the attachment itself, we can see that basically it's just attached that txt file essentially, which is the same as what's output there on the email. So if we look at the Hornetsecurity dashboard here, we can see the details of that email. We can see that inbound email was using TLS, nothing there for the outbound. We can see that the status is, it says no status, and we can, if we have a look at the info here, we can see that the reason that the attachment has been taken away is because it's being classified as content and detached by the content filter, as you can see there. And there you can see the original attachment name. So that is not delivered. So if we press deliver email, even though we've seen that the emails come through without the attachment, let's see what happens. Okay, so I've just received the email now that I pressed deliver email, and now you can see that because we pressed deliver email, it's actually sent through the attachment this time as well. So let's just say, for instance, we really wanted that file to get through for whatever reason, just on that particular occasion, we could go to the administrator and ask them to allow that particular file once they've looked up the information on the Hornetsecurity dashboard. And now we can see that the status on here has actually changed to delivered, whereas before it was no status. So this is the report now, the Advanced Threat Protection report that we carried out on that malicious file, or that malicious payload, and it did take a little while to go through this, but the end result is we have a summary, and we have then static analysis, network analysis, and behavioral analysis. So we get quite detailed information here, which is really good. And we've got a threat score here, and we can see that that threat score is 10 out of 10, and that in this case is very suspicious. We can see the information about the file, so we've got the size of the file, we've got the hashing information around it, and then we go on to signatures. So we've got loads of information here. What else have we got here? We've got some more information output, and you can see here what it's actually gone and done is it looks like it's actually run this in a sandbox, because we have screenshots here. So that's maybe why it's taking longer than I thought it was going to take, because it's actually gone and run this in a sandbox, which is very cool. So if we click on here, we actually get the output as well, so we can actually see what's happened as well. So we can see that it started that malicious file, which was a Word document. You can see that there's a link in there as well. We can see there's some around the activation of Office, and then that's about it, but there's loads of other information here in terms of the processes that it's created. So it's created some suspicious processes here. It wrote an executable file to the disk. So you really get some granular information here, which is really cool if you are wanting to look into threats that are coming into your network, and especially if you want to do some form of malware analysis. So this product from Hornetsecurity, or this solution, the 365 Total Protection, is going to give you the ability to do that and protect your organization. As we've seen in the settings, there is a lot more that we can do. You know, under the security settings, we do have a lot more settings that we can play around with and enable. But as this is just a brief demonstration of Hornetsecurity and the 365 Total Protection, we won't be delving into all of these in detail in this particular video. But what I do urge you to do, if you are interested in exploring this solution a lot more, I would certainly start a trial within your own environment, and I would also take a look at the in-depth documentation that runs through all the different features that you have here as well. So very useful documentation. I will include this link actually within the video description, but it is on the documentation portal as well. So just to make you aware. What I will say is, if you are interested in protecting your Office 365 environment and your organization's emails, then do take a look at Hornetsecurity. I think the product is decent and comes packed with many features, as you have seen today. You can start your free trial by going to their website. I will include that link in the description as well, so that you can start your trial and start to test some more of these features from Hornetsecurity. But overall, good product. I have enjoyed going through this demonstration and looking at the capabilities on offer here. I think for the price point, it attracts small, medium businesses as well as enterprise customers if they are looking at some sort of cloud email security solution. So with that, I hope you've enjoyed this demonstration of Hornetsecurity's 365 Total Protection. If you have any comments, please do drop them in the comments section. But other than that, please show your support and drop a like and share this with anybody that you feel may benefit from this video. Thank you for watching.